There's a strange truth about life that most of us discover too late. We spend years chasing the very thing we already have, and we miss it because it doesn't come wrapped in the packaging we expected. We run after bigger houses, bigger titles, bigger dreams, convinced that happiness is waiting somewhere beyond the next milestone. But what if peace was never at the finish line? What if it was quietly sitting right where you are, waiting for you to notice? As the old saying goes, he who is not contented with what he has would not be contented with what he would like to have. This one line holds the secret that many of us spend a lifetime trying to learn. Today's story is a beautiful parable, a gentle conversation between two men whose lives couldn't be more different. One is wealthy, successful, and always moving. The other owns almost nothing, yet seems to possess something the first man has been searching for his entire life. The story is like a mirror, and when you look into it, you may find yourself in one of these two men, or perhaps somewhere between them. So stay with me till the end, because by the time the story closes, you may find yourself asking a question that changes the way you see your own life. Am I truly living, or am I only chasing a life I already have? One warm afternoon, along a quiet coastal village, where the salt breeze carried the soft rhythm of waves and the smell of drying nets, a wealthy businessman stepped off the dusty road in his crisp linen suit. He had come to this little village by the sea to escape the noise of the city for a few days. His polished shoes did not belong here, and neither did the heavy weight he always carried behind his eyes. As he walked along the wooden dock, he noticed a fisherman lying beside a small blue boat. The fisherman's hat was tipped gently over his eyes, and his chest rose and fell with the ease of a man who had nothing to worry about. Beside his bare feet sat a woven basket holding just 3 fish, their silver scales still glistening in the afternoon sunlight. The businessman frowned. He could not understand such a sight. The sun was still high, the sea was calm, and here was a fit, capable man lying under his hat while opportunity floated freely in the ocean. "Only 3 fish?" he asked loudly. "Why aren't you out there catching more?" The fisherman lifted his hat with one lazy finger and smiled up at the stranger. "I caught enough for my family's meal today," he said softly, "and a little extra to share with my neighbor whose back is troubling him. That is enough for me." The businessman stepped closer, his voice rising with excitement. "But think bigger, my friend. If you stayed out there just a few more hours, you could catch 3 times, no, 4 times as many fish. You could sell the extra at the market. Do you know how much money you could make?" The fisherman tilted his head, curious but calm. "And then what, sir?" "Then," the businessman said, facing the dock, "with that money, you could buy a bigger boat, a much bigger one. You could go further out where the fish are larger and catch even more." "And then what?" "Then you could buy a second boat and a third and a fourth. You could hire other fishermen from the village to work for you. You wouldn't even need to go out to sea yourself. You could sit at home and count your earnings." "And then what?" The businessman's eyes gleamed. "Then you could open your own company. You could skip the middlemen who take their cut, build your own cold storage, and export your fish to different parts of the world. Your name would be printed on big wooden crates traveling across oceans. And then what? The fisherman asked again, the same gentle patience in his voice. In 15 or 20 years, the businessman continued, almost breathless, you could sell the whole business for millions. You could become a very wealthy man. Everyone in this village would know your name. The fisherman smiled faintly. And then what, sir? The businessman raised his arms triumphantly. Ah, that is the very best part, my friend. After that, you could finally retire. You could move to a quiet little village by the sea, just like this one. You could wake up whenever you liked, spend your mornings fishing for the joy of it, take long naps in the afternoon under the shade of a tree, walk to the temple in the evening with your wife and children, and sit with your old friends under the banyan tree at night, drinking hot tea, playing cards, and singing old songs under the stars. The fisherman was quiet for a long moment. Somewhere in the distance, a bell rang from the little white temple near the shore. A fishing boat creaked softly against the dock. The wind moved the palm leaves above them with a sound like whispering. Then the fisherman sat up slowly, the corners of his eyes crinkling with kindness. He looked at the wealthy stranger, at his tight collar and his gold watch and his restless shoes. "Sir," he said softly, "what do you think I am doing right now?" The businessman froze. The words settled into him slowly, like a stone sinking through deep water. He looked at the 3 fish in the basket. He looked at the little blue boat. He looked at the simple coconut-patched house just behind the coconut trees, where a woman was hanging a cotton sari to dry, and 2 children were chasing a wandering goat. The fisherman already had the life he was being told to spend 20 years chasing. For the first time in many, many years, the businessman had nothing to say. His mouth opened, then closed. All his graphs, all his strategies, all his shining dreams folded quietly inside him like a newspaper in the rain. Standing there in his expensive suit, he suddenly felt like the poor one. The fisherman tipped his hat back down over his eyes and returned to his nap, as though the whole conversation had been nothing more than a passing breeze. The businessman walked back slowly down the dusty path toward his car. But something inside him was different. He had spent 10 whole minutes passionately describing, in detail, the exact life this fisherman was already living, and he had never once noticed. This short story carries within it one of the oldest truths of human life. True contentment is not having everything, but in being satisfied with everything you have. The fisherman, with only 3 fish and a small blue boat, had already arrived at the destination the businessman was still racing toward. And this is the quiet tragedy many of us live through without realizing it. We often believe that happiness lies somewhere ahead, after the next promotion, the next house, the next achievement. And so, we postpone our lives. We tell ourselves, I'll be happy when I earn more, when I buy that car, when I finally reach that position. But the wise ones have always whispered a different truth. Happiness is not a station you arrive at, but a manner of traveling. The journey itself is the destination. The morning sun, the quiet meal, the laughter of a child, the hand of a loved one. These are not small things. These are the things. The businessman in our story was not a bad man. He was simply lost in a dream that most of the world shares. The dream that more will finally be enough. But Buddha gently reminds us, there is no end of craving. Hence, contentment alone is the best way to happiness. No matter how much we gather, the mind always finds something new to want. The bigger house feels small after a year. The new car loses its shine. The promotion is replaced by the hunger for the next one. This is not abundance. This is a treadmill. And the only way to step off is to pause, look around, and notice what is already yours. There is a quiet, timeless wisdom in the words, health is the greatest gift, contentment the greatest wealth, faithfulness the best relationship. If you have your health, you are already richer than millions. If you have people who love you, you are already wealthier than kings. If you have peace of mind at the end of the day, no bank account can compete with what you carry inside. The greatest wealth is to live content with little. And yet, so many of us live restlessly because we have forgotten to look. Be thankful for what you have. You'll end up having more. If you concentrate on what you don't have, you will never, ever have enough. This is not just a poetic line. It is a law of the human heart. Gratitude multiplies joy. Comparison destroys it. Notice also where the businessman lived. Not in the moment, but in a future 20 years away. This is how most of us spend our days. If you are depressed, you are living in the past. If you are anxious, you are living in the future. If you are at peace, you are living in the present. The fisherman was at peace because he was here, now, with the breeze, the waves, the sound of his children's laughter. He was not waiting for life, he was in life. So how do we bring this wisdom into our own days? Let me share some gentle practices to carry with you. 1. Pause each morning and name 3 blessings. Before reaching for your phone, before rushing into the noise, sit quietly and acknowledge 3 things you already have. Count your blessings, not your troubles. This small habit rewires the mind from wanting to appreciating. 2. Ask yourself the fisherman's question. Whenever you chase something new, gently ask, and then what? Follow the chain to its end. You may be surprised to find that the final answer is something you already possess today. 3. Practice presence in ordinary moments. When you drink your tea, truly taste it. When you walk, feel the ground beneath your feet. When you speak with a loved one, really listen. Peace is not hidden in some distant mountain retreat. Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. 4. Redefine what success means for you. Not the word's definition, yours. Is it a big title? Or is it quiet evenings with family? Is it wealth? Or is it waking up without dread? The happiest people don't have the best of everything. They make the best of everything. 5. Let your actions, words, and thoughts align. So much of our unhappiness comes from living a life that doesn't match who we truly are. Happiness is when what you think, what you say, and what you do are in harmony. When these 3 walk together, Peace becomes your natural state. 6. Cultivate inner peace before seeking outer achievement. First, keep the peace within yourself. Then you can also bring peace to others. A restless heart cannot find rest even on a throne. A peaceful heart can find rest on a wooden dock with 3 fish in a basket. 7. Remember that the purpose of your journey is the journey itself. The purpose of our lives is to be happy, not to impress, not to accumulate, not to be remembered, but to live. Truly live with an open heart. The businessman in our story walked away with a lesson he could have learned decades earlier, if only he had paused long enough to listen. Do not wait that long. Nothing can bring you peace but yourself. And there is no way to peace. Peace is the way. Start where you are. Start with what you have. Start today. Because in the end, it is not how much we have, but how much we enjoy that makes happiness. And the harvest of peace grows from seeds of contentment. Plant those seeds now and watch your life bloom into something the wealthiest man in the world would envy. Now I want to hear from you. In the comments below, share with me one thing in your life, big or small, that you are grateful for today. It could be your health, a person you love, a quiet morning, or even a cup of tea. Let's fill the comments with gratitude and remind each other of what we already have. If this story touched something in your heart, please give it a like and share it with someone who is chasing too hard and forgetting to live. And if you'd like more stories like this, stories that slow you down, soften you, and remind you of what truly matters, subscribe to our channel and join our little family of seekers. I'll be back very soon with another story to walk beside you on this journey. Until then, be patient, stay grateful, live simply, and remember, the life you're searching for